Hi, I'm Denise Evans with Cutler Real Estate, and here's some tips about helping your house look and show its best when you're getting ready to sell. Through the years, I've had the opportunity to look at many homes, and I've been able to compile some lists of some things that maybe you won't think about or you won't remember when you're getting ready to sell your house. First thing, my number one is to make sure that the doors work and that the doors don't stick and all the locks work. Check and make sure that is the case. And you want to make sure that your front door is fresh and clean and it doesn't have any cobwebs or spider webs or bugs. You want to make a great first impression. You might need to get a new mailbox. Take a look at your mailbox and your house numbers. Do they look fresh and inviting, or do they look worn out and ready to be replaced? People are going to make an impression right away as they walk in the front door. You might want to fix any broken steps, concrete sidewalks too. Make sure all your lights work. I can't tell you how many times I'm trying to turn off and on light switches and nothing's happening, and we're standing there with a buyer in the dark. And make sure all your light bulbs work. Again, that's an impression of how you take care of your home. If you have missing or burnout light bulbs, people are going to think, maybe these people don't really care about their home. Make sure that you dust your ceiling fans and your chandeliers because people will look. And you want to make sure that you clean out your fridge and your stove and your microwave. In the bathroom, get rid of any excess shampoo, toothpaste, toothbrush. And same thing goes in the kitchen. You want to make sure that you've got just like a nice fresh bottle of hand soap, and don't have a lot of dish towels or a lot of personal towels hanging in the bathroom. You just want something to look like it's nice and fluffy and fresh and inviting. Don't forget to clean your registers and get the cobwebs down. And you also want to make sure that you keep supplies like paper towels and toilet paper on hand. Believe me, it certainly comes in handy, especially when we've seen 5 or 6 houses and we've got a little child that really needs to use the bathroom. And don't forget about your garage. My biggest rule is if you have a 2-car garage, then 2 cars should fit in it. If they don't, that's going to give your buyer the impression that, hey, there's not enough room to put all my stuff in here. People are going to look, trust me, and you want to do the best job that you can as long as it's practical within your capabilities. But you want people to think that the house has a lot of room and lots of storage. So you also want to go through like your linen closets and your closets, and just to make sure that you don't have them overstuffed and that they're not going to explode when we open the door. If your home's vacant, I would really consider leaving the utilities on if it's practical. I can tell you when we walk into a cold house or a hot house, if the temperature difference is too great, people, all they think about doing is getting the heck out of there. You want people to feel comfortable when they're coming through your house. So that's a really big, important part. If you have pets, you don't want to hide the fact that you have pets, but you want to, again, make sure that you've cleaned up after them. And for sure, especially if you have a doggy, make sure that you've cleaned up the yard. I can't tell you how many times I've had a buyer or myself step in you know what, and boy, that makes for a real turnoff. I have 2 teenage boys, and I understand all the stuff that kids get in their bedrooms. But when you're selling your house, you've got to live inconvenient for a short period of time. So you want to encourage your kids to really minimize and get their stuff together. And a great plan is, if you're going to be moving, start that process and maybe even rent a storage unit or box up some things and take them to Grandma and Grandpa's house just to store until you get your house sold. Pictures. It's okay to have pictures on the walls, in my opinion, but you don't want to overload buyers. Buyers want to be able to walk in the house and picture what they're going to look like in the house and how they're going to live in it. You don't want them to get distracted by looking at your pictures and maybe trying to figure out if they know the people that live there. Same thing goes with collectibles. And again, I'm not saying that you should get rid of collectibles, but if you have an extreme amount, a lot of times people's tastes are not going to be the same taste as what you have. And again, I've really seen people get very distracted with homes that really have a strong theme or a personality that may be very different from what theirs is. One thing I'm remembering is make sure that you put your DVDs away. If you have some DVDs that probably aren't appropriate that you want the general public to see. Same thing goes with magazines. I can recall walking into a few houses and having some things left out that were not appropriate for all ages. Believe me, we see it all. A great tip is to make sure that your rooms are presented in the manner that they're supposed to be. For example, I use our former dining room as my home office, but when the time comes that we sell our house, I'd probably put it back to a dining room just so people can see, they can visualize the way that room was intended. Or if it makes better sense to have it as a home office, then maybe I would leave it that way. But in our case, we have a small eating area, so I probably would convert my office back to the dining room just to show buyers some different options. People have a hard time picturing things if we don't show them. So that's part of my consultation, is to look through your home like the eyes of a buyer, and to keep an open mind and just maybe think about making some changes that's really going to help the house photograph well and give the buyers some options so they can visualize the way that they would use the room. Don't try to hide any worn out carpeting or cracked ceramic tile with a throw rug, because buyers are going to pick up on that, and you don't want to try to purposely mask anything. I mean, it is what it is, so people need to know the condition of the house that they're buying. New lighting is a great way to give a dated house a little pick-me-up. It's an easy, inexpensive fix. Same thing goes with wallpaper removal and paint. You want people to come in and you want the house to look fresh and clean. And so the same thing would go with furniture too. If the furniture is worn and used and about at the end of its life expectancy, there are a lot of great places where you can donate your furniture and they'll come and pick it up and take it right away. Many times I see people with storage boxes or clothes piled up in their bedroom. What is the buyer going to think? The buyer's going to think, boy, I don't have enough room in my closets or my drawers to put all my clothes, so I'm going to have them in storage boxes or under the bed. And you don't want people to think that. So again, minimalize things. Probably one of the hardest things that parents have, and young parents, is minimizing the toys. And again, it amazes me the number of toys that I've seen in houses before. And having two boys, I understand how those toys can certainly pile up. But when you're selling your house, if you've got a living room, it should look like a living room. If you've got a dining room, it should look like your dining room. If you've got your master bedroom, it should look like the master bedroom. Make a place for the toys or keep them in the kids' bedrooms. You don't want your living room to be overtaken by a jumping house and strollers and little Tykes basketball hoops. Not a good first impression. It's as important to make your house look good on the outside as it is on the inside. Don't have overgrown bushes. You want them to be trimmed, and they don't do anything to enhance the value. You want to keep your flower beds clean, and you don't want to have any weeds in them. Even an overgrown tree or a dead tree can be a real turnoff to a buyer because they think that they're going to have maintenance down the road to take care of that. One great thing is to go outside and then walk through the doors and try to imagine yourself as if you're the buyer and you're looking at the house for your first time. Buyers are really picky nowadays and they want the most for their money. So as a seller, we don't want to give the buyer any reason to discount your house. So just keep that in mind and go through and really look at the house the way that you would if you were buying it. Remember, most importantly, selling your home is just a temporary lifestyle change. We want to sell your home for the most amount of money with the least amount of hassle and the least amount of inconvenience to you and your family. So the quicker that we can get that job done, the better. You've got a very good chance in today's market of selling your house for the maximum amount within the first 30 days. That's how most of the houses are performing right now. So if you do a little bit of work ahead of time, be flexible with your showings and keep that inconvenience to the minimum, we're going to get your house sold for the most amount of money in the least amount of time. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you'll call Denise, visit my website at homesbydeniseevans.com, and I'll be glad to help.